Hi, I'm Tom and I talk about code. Today I'm here, my microphone stand is still broken, unfortunately, but we're going to build a Discord Python bot from basically nothing, okay? I played around with discord.py in a stream yesterday, I had some issues with it, turns out it's deprecated, it's no longer going to be maintained, so I thought let's read the Discord docs, start from just nothing, we're going to pull in 2 dependencies in Python, and we're going to integrate with Discord ourselves, just from their spec. Sounds simple, and actually, you know, apart from a few little rough edges, I think it will be fairly straightforward. So let's see how we go. I have the docs up, okay? And so I think before we look at the docs, actually, let's draw a plan. I think it should be pretty easy to express what we want to do, right? The main goal of this bot for now, and I probably will extend it to do more things down the line, but the main goal, let's say we have our bot, let's say we have Discord, and let's say we have a user, a person. I'm going to sequence diagram this, okay? I don't draw sequence diagrams very often, but they are actually pretty good. So what's going to happen is, a user is going to react to a message. When that happens, I want Discord to fire off an event to my bot, so I can then tell Discord to add a role to this user, right? So Discord, you know, kind of manages the state for this user. So then, when that's not the color I want. When I come in from over here and say that I'm going live to Discord, Discord then fires off a notification to the user. This is the flow. These are the things that's going to happen. So this is, react to a message. This is going to send an event to our bot, and then we're going to add a role to the user. Perfect. And then, yeah, notify. Cool. So Discord has a really nice REST API. Anakin Loop, good morning there in chat. Discord has a really nice REST API. Really simple to use. I had a look at the docs, it's really good, but we want to react to events that happen, right? So we don't want to be sitting there polling Discord saying, hey, are there reactions to this message? Can we do things? We want a reaction to come in and bam, we want to do something off the back of that. And the way this works in Discord is rather than using a HTTP API, it uses Websockets. So Websockets, they're kind of like, normal sockets, but they run on the web. Sure. It's how the Discord client, I believe, is able to listen for events. So there's this whole well-documented API called the Gateway API. And it actually took me a minute to find in their documentation what this was called. It was not obvious to me that their WebSocket event system was going to be called the Gateway API. But yeah, as this documentation says, right? Real-time communication over secure WebSockets. I love it. So we're going to use the latest version, and the first thing this gateway doc gets into, I've had a bit of a read of this last night, it seems pretty easy to integrate with, famous last words, there's one fundamental data type here, right? There is one gateway data type. It has an opcode for a payload, it has some data, and then it has 2 optional fields. The event name for this payload, I don't know, and it looks like these only happen when the op is 0, so I'm not really sure what op 0 is. We're going to have to learn that as we go, but when op is 0, we have a sequence number and we have a name. Hopefully, I don't have to worry about these, because when we get messages, they're in this format. When we send messages, I think they're also in this format. So, blah, 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 slightly more complex than sending, payload compression, transport compression. Thankfully, the user controls payload compression, okay? So we can tell the API when we connect to it that we don't want compression. Just send raw JSON, uncompressed, we'll deal with it, which is great. So how do we connect to the gateway? Let's write a simple connection, we'll make it happen, and then we'll go from there and start modeling the data and start actually, handling events. So we open a connection to a WebSocket URL. Now how do we do that? In Python, this is a clean Python project. I've got a virtual environment set up and nothing installed. So we're going to pip install WebSockets. This is a package. It does all the WebSocket stuff for us. WebSockets, you don't want to be integrating with them from scratch. It's going to take a while. I'm going to put on a library for this. I'm also going to pip install requests. This is, a much nicer library for making HTTP requests, and that's it. Those are my 2 dependencies. So let's go. Let's call this file gateway.py. Gateway.py. Cool. Import WebSockets. Now, how do we open a WebSocket? What does this look like? I've written myself a little reference, and I think we're going to be good just from this. So, sorry. Hopefully that wasn't too loud when I banged my microphone. Let's go if name equals main. We want to just like test a connection and see what happens. So this connection, well, we're going to have a URL. Let's define this as a constant. Gateway URL is, I think, HTTPS, no, sorry, WSS discord gateway.discord.gg gateway.discord.gg/ and then parameters. So let's call WebSocket URL URI. I think it's a URI, not a URL, right? Subtle difference. Gateway. Okay, well, this is already bad naming. Let's call it a URL. We'll go consistent. And then we have a couple of query parameters. We have a version, which is going to be 9, and we're going to say encoding equals JSON, because we don't want to deal with just weird binary data. We want everything to be a nice string. Okay, so now we can go async with WebSockets connect. Right, so we're going to use this with, and actually, hold on, no, we can't do this quite like this. We need a function. We need an async function. So we'll go async def run. Let's call it run connection for now. If we want to use an async with, this has to be in an async function. So then when we come down into main, we're going to have to like, you know, run an event loop and whatever. So we're going to have to pull in. I'm not an expert on Python concurrency, but I know enough to know that some things will bite me, and you know, some things have bitten me in the past. There are some complexities. We'll try and get around them as best we can. So we've got a WebSocket connection, and then we're gonna say there's a really easy way to do this. WebSocket for, I think, async for message in WebSocket. Right? We can just infinite async loop over all of the messages that may ever come down the pipe, and we are gonna print the message. Easy. So now we just need to go loop equals, we need to get an event loop to run our async task. This is just a very Python thing, so we're going to say get event loop. I believe I'm doing this blind. I don't know these APIs too well. Loop run task and run task to completion, complete run. Hold on, I need to Google it. Yeah, Anakin Luke. I don't know, these APIs, I always forget them. So we want event loop, get event loop was correct, and then once we have the loop, run until complete. Until complete, and this is going to be run connection. I think that's it, right? This is just going to loop forever. So if I run this, WSURI is not defined yet because I called it WSURL. Beautiful. So already we can see, right? We've connected, we've opened a connection to Discord, and Discord is sending us some stuff back. Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's pop out chat. So that's a great first step. So now the second step is going to be to actually model this data in a way that we can, you know, grab it and do stuff with it. So we don't want to just deal with a JSON object, right? We want to capture this once and kind of, you know, decode it into something useful once, so that when we respond to events, we're not, you know, duplicating our decode logic. So let's start by defining, and last time I used Python in stream, I didn't do this properly, right? So we're going to define a data class, and I need to import something for this, but I'll do that in a second. Data class, we'll call it gateway message, I guess. It's going to have a few fields, right? So if we go back, rather than just doing it from memory, we have an op, which is an integer. We have a data, which is going to be an object in our case, I guess. And then we have an s and a t, which is a maybe int and a maybe string, but there's no good way to model that in Python, so we'll just call them an int and a string. So we have an op, we have data, which is going to be an object. We have sequence, which is going to be an int, and we have a name, which is going to be a string. str, I think, right? And then we need to import data class. So I think from data classes, import data class. Let's hope that works. Cool. Okay. So we're very quickly going to reach a point where the complexity of this increases. So let's draw another picture. let's draw another picture. So we've got our sequence diagram of how this is going to work, right? And I guess at the moment we're up in this nebulous void over here where we need to work out what we actually need to do to get Discord to send us this event, right? You are here, you know, big red cross. So what's this going to look like when it's actually running, okay? And again, if we go back to the docs, I can go through it, I can read all this stuff. I did this last night, so I don't have to do it now. Here's what's going to happen. Again, I'm going to kind of do this sequency. So we have our client and we have the Discord server. Oh, actually, no, let's actually write it in order. Let's write it in order. So the first thing that's going to happen, open WebSocket, right? We've just done this. Easy. So we send this out to Discord responds. Discord sends whatever we just saw back. Discord sends... Okay, I've scrolled... Oh no, yeah, Discord sends this back. So this has an op number of 10. I can't remember what this is, like what this is called, but it tells us how often we can poll Discord, and it tells us that we can proceed with our opening handshake. So open a WebSocket. Let's just call this reply. Now we're going to split into two parts, okay? Let's call this 3A. We need to identify ourselves. This is where we provide our token and tell, you know, Discord what we actually want and what events we want to receive from Discord. And then 3B, this is going to be where we start. Well, actually, let's leave this one for a second because I'm going to say 4A. Discord responds and says we are ready. And once Discord says we're ready, we can just listen forever, right? We're going to get the events that we want. This is it. So this happens forever. And also what happens forever is 3B, we need to send, they're called heartbeats. They're essentially a ping, right? So do forever. Now what's cool about this WebSocket library is it makes it very easy to do things async. So we're going to end up with 2 or 3 tasks, depending on how you want to think about it. I'm going to say 3 tasks, right? So we're going to have a receiver. We're going to have, let's call it a receiver. Okay, this is going to get a WebSocket, call a handler based on what message we get. We'll get a WebSocket message. And apologies for my terrible handwriting. I just need to plan this out, otherwise I'm going to get into a mess. So we get a WebSocket message, we call a handler, and then that handler does whatever. Most likely sends a message in reply. Okay, so then we're going to have a sender. This sender is going to get a message from a queue. And then it's going to send that message on the WebSocket. So this connects to this here. And then we're going to have this third loop, which is going to be our ping, right? So once we get the message, once we get this reply, it tells us how often to ping. And so this is going to sleep, async sleep for some interval, and then it's going to send a ping. And this is also going to feed into this queue. Perfect. So 3 tasks that are just going to spin and run forever. Now, how do we manage 3 tasks properly? I don't know. There's a lot of Python complexity about the best way to do this. I am not going to do this the best way. I'm going to say that up front. I'm going to get something working and then worry about the best way to handle errors and stuff. I'm going to build it so that it's not going to be too hard. I think I know what it should look like, but basically, yeah, we're just going to run these tasks forever, and any of them failing will pull the whole thing down. But that's okay for now because we're just exploring, we're just testing. If something fails, we most likely actually want the whole application to be torn down. Okay, so this is a bit of a roadmap. I guess the best way to think about this is we're going to model this all around a class, okay? A class that manages our connection. So we're going to have our gateway, and I'm sorry about this microphone weirdness. As I'm sure I've mentioned, my microphone stand is broken. So let's build a class. Let's build a class called gateway connection. We're going to need 3 async methods in this class. We'll have one called receive loop, This is going to do essentially what this is doing right now, except instead of printing, it'll call some generic handler. We're going to have a send loop, which is going to get something from a queue and send it on through the WebSocket, and we're going to have our ping loop, which is just going to make sure that Discord knows that our bot is still alive. All three of these are going to take a WebSocket as a parameter. Rather than using class state, I think this is actually a little bit nicer. It does mean that this could actually, in theory, not be part of a class, but we will keep it in a class for a reason that hopefully will become clear sooner rather than later. I can see it in my head, I just need to code it out. So receive loop is going to do this, right? It's just going to do this. Except instead of calling print, let's say handle message to do decode message. We'll decode the message here once and then pass it on to a handler already decoded into this gateway message format. But for now, we're just gonna pass it on. So for one thing, this handle message, it's not an async method, right? So we just def handle message. Actually, we should make it an async def because then we can, so this is easier to show than to explain. So let's say we have a message, okay? We do some stuff, and then we want to send a reply. So we say self-send or something, right? Self-send response. Except send is going to be an async method because it's going to deal with an async queue, right? So send is going to look something like this. Send is going to look something like this. Def async def send. We're going to send a message. We're going to say self.queue.put message, I think, but we have to await this because it's going to be an async queue. And we can't do this if, like, this is gonna, because this is now an async method, we have to await it, and because this is an async method, we now have to async this. Async very quickly bleeds out through your functions into every function. If you don't have a good plan up front, or a good, understanding of what your data flow is going to look like up front, it's going to get out of control. It's going to get out of control. Okay, so this is literally what we're going to do for the queue, and we're also going to need an init, which is going to create that queue. Let's take a token in as well. Self.token equals token, and we're going to have self.queue equals, now there's an async IO queue, okay? Where are you? Queues. Literally just async IO.queue. I love it. Too easy, too easy. So, this is all we need to do here, right? This is super simple. We need to await handle message now because it's an async method. There's a typo in my data class decorator. Data cals. Thank you so much, Morello. I love it. I love it. That's why I need chat, okay? Saves me a lot of headaches. Saves me a lot of headaches. So, let me just move my mic again. So we're going to set this up properly up front, right? We're going to set this up properly up front. To send things in a loop, we're going to say while true. We're going to say while true. What do? We await async io.sleep. We're going to have our pulse as some kind of class state. Pulse. Oh no, sorry, this is our ping loop. What am I doing? Our send loop is just going to say await self.queue.get. And then we're just going to say ws.send. Maybe we'll call this message instead of send. It's a bit less weird. Await WebSocket send. And then in the ping loop, we do what we were doing before. We say while true, async io.sleep, self.pulse. We need to give this a default value. Let's say maybe 1 second. That sounds decent. We're going to get a much higher value back from Discord eventually, but until then, let's just say, yeah, we'll do it more frequently. And then we want to say self.send ping. Some ping message that we need to create. Awesome. So this is it. This is the framework for our connection. These are all the things our connection needs to do. Now we just need some function which will, let's say, async def run. That's going to kick everything off, right? So run connection self. We need to Actually, we're going to do this a really dumb way. We're going to say receive equals async io dot. I think we want to create a task, right? We're going to use a higher level API here. We're going to use a higher level API. So we're going to say create task self dot. And this needs to take a WebSocket as an argument. So I guess run connection is where we're going to open the connection, right? So we're going to come in, we're going to grab this, and we're going to do this here. Love it. Cool. So, you know, we've just kind of cut up what we already had. I love it. Yep, async connect to a WebSocket. We're in an async function. That's good. So we're going to create a receive task. We're going to create a send task. Self.send loop. And we're going to create a ping task. And this looks good. This looks really good. And now we just need to await, ping, await, send, and await receive. So if you're a Python dev and you've been on board with this so far, this is probably where you're going to like lose faith in me. There are good ways to handle like this kind of model, right? So if I was to draw this as a picture, it looks like this, right? We start in one place, we fan out to 3 different things, which I expect to run forever, and then we need to collapse them down into one thing. This has a really bad failure model. If one of these things fail, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty. But this will be enough to get us working and to just explore the API. And it also gives us a central point where we can refactor this. Like, we're not going to touch this function again probably for the rest of the stream. We're going to touch this function, we're going to touch this function. We're going to dive into each of these 3 tasks. And then later on we can come back and change how they're created, how they're managed. It should be fine. We know that the way these are going to communicate failure back up the line is through an exception. So as long as we bear that in mind, everything should be good. With that said, we also probably want like a try and stuff in here, but we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. So we need to send a ping. Let's actually just completely comment this line out for now. We have a receive loop, we have a send loop. Because, well, and let's, we want to just print out what we get. How about, okay, let's get rid of run connection. How about instead of this, right? What if we extend our gateway connection? Let's extend it with a class whose handler is just always print the message. That sounds like a good way to go, right? Then we don't infect, our base object with like dirty print statements, but it gives us a good way to examine it. So let's go gateway printer, gateway con. So we extend this object, async def handle message, print the message. And this is how we're going to implement the real logic as well, right? We're just going to extend this handle message, so when things come in, we decide what to do with them. It's going to look exactly like this. And let's actually move this loop stuff as well. I'm guessing this is how discord.py did it, right? We're going to go def run, and we're going to put this loop stuff in here. So we can just call a method. We can just say we'll create a connection, printer, and then we say con.run, and this function just manages all of the loop stuff. We don't need to do anything crazy. So we say self.run connection. And let's see if this runs. I've done a lot of code here. I've done a lot of framework, a lot of scaffolding without actually testing it. So when I run this, I'm expecting something's going to blow up in my face. Gate printer is not defined. That's because it's called gateway printer. And we need to give this a token, sure. Cool, handle message is not defined. Because I'm very, very silly, handle, I forgot the self. Is there anywhere else I've forgotten the word self? I don't think so. And that looks really good. That looks kind of good, right? Self.post, gateway print has no object. Possil. Another typo, okay? Another typo. Gateway printer has no attribute. Possil. Sorry? Did I? Possil. There we go. And now it looks like this actually goes. I didn't await these properly, that's okay. And we just print out this first message we get back from Discord, which I love. So, can I send something back? Can I send something back? Let's say when we get a message that's printed out, and then let's build a gateway message that we can send back. So let's, what does the ping look like? What does the ping look like? Gateway hello. Yeah, so this is what we get, a hello message, op10, and then we send back op11, no body. So let's go, just as a test, we'll put it in our printer for now, but we'll move it somewhere else soon. Let's go ping equals, what do we call it? Gateway message op11, data nothing. Is this how we do it? Data nothing, sequence none, string none, and then we say self.q.put. No, we don't. We say self.send. We say await self.send ping. And let's see what happens. When we send a message, we probably want to print it out. Okay. And yeah, looks like we sent something, maybe? Except WebSocket send doesn't really make sense here. We need to convert it back into JSON and then stringify it. Oh, I like this chat message. I like this chat message. You learned a bit of Lisp and it's nice. I had a YouTube comment I need to respond to actually asking me how to get better at low-level C stuff. And like my best advice for it is implement a Lisp in C and just like expand your brain. I spoke with an intern at work the other day, and she was asking questions about how to be a better programmer, and I'm like, if you want to like, I gave my advice, like generic advice, and I'm like, and my personal highly opinionated advice, like learn some Haskell, learn some F#. You don't have to be good at them, but they're just going to expand your brain, and then yeah, implement a Lisp in C and learn to program your own Lisp. Life-changing stuff. Life-changing stuff. Anyway, sorry, yeah, that was unrelated and that did sidetrack me, but that's probably a good sign that I just need to like take a little breather, do a little stretch, and think about how we're going to convert this message into something that we're going to actually send. How are we going to send this? So what strikes me is we actually don't need a gateway message for this, right? This is a simple enough message that it's like, well, I guess there's two things here, right? So we probably want a method here called serialize, maybe. I think Python has APIs for this. But anyway, we'll call maybe JSONify. Objify. We'll call it Objify. That's a disgusting name, but we'll roll with it. And we want to return an object op, self.op. We need to, of course, have our self parameter here. D, self.d. Now, what I think is also going to be hard here is add data may come as a simple namespace. So can we convert Python simple namespace to dict? We should be able to, right? It is a simple namespace. Thank you very much. It's a cool name. Okay, I like that. It's good to be affirmed. If I construct a dictionary, it will convert lovely into JSON. Yeah, so that's my goal, right? Convert whatever structured object we have here. Does data class have? Well, I guess we can't just data class directly to JSON because our field names are different, right? One thing I do like about Golang is the annotation system where you can be like data. You could say that when you serialize this object to JSON, data maps to a JSON field just called D. How to initialize a dict from a simple namespace. Vars. Okay, so they're back. Simple namespaces are backed by a dict. That's cool. So we can say self.d. Can I go vars self.d? But then, This is actually more complicated than I thought, and we're just going to take a quick little breather. And rather than doing this, let's go simple. Op 11. This is all we need to send if we look at the spec. Let's not overcomplicate things yet, okay? Eventually it may be nice to support this whole thing, but I think what we're going to send is usually simple enough. So let's see what happens when we run this now. We send op11. Let's fix this error. Because this thing is never awaited, which is not good. Ping, send. I mean, it does look like we await it. So this is janky. In conclusion, don't do it like this. There is a data class function to convert to a dict. Yeah, there must be, right? There must be a way to do this. Thank you, userman2. You've inspired me to Google this. Python data class to dict. Maybe I should just make the field names the same, but I don't love that because, you know, I want like a higher level view into this janky compressed JSON. To dict. Metadata as dict. There we go. So there's a dict factory. I think this is going to be limited to just using the field names, right? Anyway, interesting to know. Interesting thought, and I'm glad that function does exist. That seems very, very useful. Okay, so it looks like this is good, right? Now in our ping loop, we actually know what we want to send, and that is our ping. If we want to really think about like premature optimization, we could probably pre-allocate this object somewhere, like, you know, have this just defined as a constant, because otherwise we're just going to maybe thrash a new object, you know, as often as we ping, but that's okay. That's okay. So we're going to send this ping. We do nothing when we handle a message in our default class. That's good. And send looks good. Sure. We're not going to know if send works until we send a message that the gateway API actually responds to, right? When we send an ACK, nothing happens. When we send an identify, we expect to get a response. So this is where things are going to get interesting. Okay. All the built-in short classes have a function to convert to dict tuple. Yeah. Like I was just looking at simple namespace, right? And some objects have a field, like literally, right? Some of them have this weird dict backing, and I don't know. It's kind of like an interface, right? Anyway, let's identify ourselves to Discord. Let's tell Discord who we are, because once we've done that, we'll expect to see our bot actually show up as online, and we can see the result of something that we've done. So, identify. There's actually not that much stuff here. We need to send a token. We need to send our intents. So the intents are the events we intend to listen to. So if we look at our picture back here, right, this nebulous cloud of uncertainty is starting to get filled in. The intents will tell Discord to send us the event that we want to listen to, which is the user reacting to a message. Perfect. Perfect. Dict is present on all objects that don't use slots. But is it meaningful on all objects? Like, I get it can be overridden to like basically do nothing, right? Or, But yeah, I mean, Python objects, you know, they're just generic key value things. It makes sense that you can convert them to dicts. Nice. That is good to know. I do forget that, you know, Python has some good stuff like that. Because when I do JavaScript, which I probably do a bit more of these days, you know, you don't need this because everything just is essentially, you know, the equivalent of a Python dict by default. In Python, there's that like slight separation between a dict and an object. Yeah, interesting. That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, so we're still not going to decode messages yet. We're going to send something first and see how this goes. So when we receive it, actually no. You know what? Let's decode this message because we want to send our identify as a response to op10, right? That's the only time we're going to send it. And also, I think this is getting more complicated than we want to put in one file, right? We've got our gateway connection here. We've got our gateway printer. This models the gateway. But now we want to start modeling, I guess, like the gateway, the messages, the protocol. So this is like the connection that we've modeled, but let's make a new file, gateway protocol. Maybe this is a horrible idea. Let's just call it gateway. We'll extend gateway con. It's noticeable that class level things like properties are stored on the class objects dict and not the instances. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. There's a lot of Python internals that are really cool. I really would like to learn more about them. And thank you very much, Userman2, for the follow and for the interesting insight in chat. Highly appreciated. Highly, highly appreciated. Please keep it up. Okay, we've got a gateway connection. So when we async handle a message, we want to respond differently depending on the op of that message, right? So if it's op10, this tells us A, that we need to get the heartbeat interval from the data, and then B, that we need to send off our identify request. So actually, let's jump back across to gateway. I spoke too soon. We need to decode these messages. So let's write a function, not part of the class, called decode message. We're taking a message. We're taking a message just like raw as a string, I guess. Let's take it in raw as a string. Hoxton, what's up? What is up? Python's up. Okay, so let's go json.loads. I always forget we need to import JSON. I always forget what the JSON function calls in Python are. Every single time. I don't know why. So we get our object. Let's go op. Well, object op, that's always going to be there. Object D is always going to be there. Let's make a simple namespace from types import simple. If you've never seen simple namespace before, it's really cool. If we want to deal with, for example, our object that we've just decoded, if we want to get the data field, we have to do it like this. If we make it into a simple namespace, we can do this. We're not going to make obj into a simple namespace, but we are going to make the data of the object into a simple namespace. So if d in obj, then we want to say data equals simple namespace. We want to spread. And this just means that we're kind of like spreading this dictionary out over this function. Is Python a typed language? No. There are type hints in Python like this, but it is not a typed language. Some people use type hints everywhere. I do not. I'm like, if it's not a typed language, I'm not going to bother. I don't know. Maybe I'm a monster. A little bit like JavaScript, exactly, right? JavaScript, it's a lot like JavaScript, and you're going to see, hopefully, as we do this stuff with objects, that it's a lot like JavaScript. So let's maybe just define these things that are optional as none. I think we always get a data, right? I just think it's when we send it that we may not have. But no, it's got this question mark, right? So I think we have to handle the case where there is no data, even if it doesn't occur in practice. If D, so if there's no field D, if there's no field S, if D in obj, so if there's no field, or if there is a field S rather, our sequence is going to be obj S, and if n, sorry, the name is called T, obviously. In obj name equals obj T. I guess T for type, right? And then we return gateway message obj. We give it the op, we give it the data, we give it the sequence, we give it the name. Boom. Now we got a nice one of these. You can add type enforcement yourself, but it incurs a runtime cost, which may or may not matter. Yeah. So if I was like writing code for a bank, I would not use Python, but if I had to, I would use type hints. Oh, this is an interesting point here, actually. Type hints, because it makes your IDE IntelliSense better. Now, because I'm just doing like really raw NeoVim, I don't even get like error highlighting when I make a typo. I just like to keep it clean. So that is less important to me as well, right? But yeah, that's a good point. If it improves your IDE experience, that can be very much worth doing as well. So we can decode a message into its parts. And this is now going to become a key part of what we do. So let's go decoded equals decode message. I really need to be consistent with what I'm calling like message versus message. It's a bit messy. It's more than a bit messy. Decoded. So now when I run, I probably have to exit to do it, unfortunately. Now when I run this, we're going to see that it's wrapped in a nice object, which is cool. And also, so the fact that this is a namespace now, right? We can just say data.heartbeat interval. We don't have to do the normal Python dictionary reference cumbersome thing. And And this crashes when we quit. Again, this is because of how we're handling, our janky handling of cleaning up our tasks. Userman 2, you seem to know a lot about Python. If you have a hot tip on a better way to do this, please give me a shout. I may not get to it this stream. I'm more interested in filling out the bits inside. I think it's safe to get back to this later. But yeah, sure. It doesn't seem urgent. Okay, so we decode the message, we pass it through. Now if we go into our gateway protocol implementation, handle message, we can say if message op is 10. So if this is the thing we get, what's it called? It's called a hello, I think. If it's a hello, self.pulse. So we've got this heartbeat interval. It says something after client may begin sending these payloads after heartbeat interval times jitter. Jitter is a random value between 0 and 1. Okay. So we can send one immediately, and then we can send them every, however many milliseconds after. So our pulse importantly is going to be in seconds. Okay. This is critical, right? So if we go back to gateway, and this always catches me out when I sleep in Python, right? We've set our default is 1 second. So we need to say that pulse is message data heartbeat interval divided by 1000. If you don't do this, we're going to be sleeping for a very long time, and Discord's going to think we're dead. And then we want to create an identity. We'll create an identity object, and then we'll say self.send. I guess it's an internal thing, right? Nah. Let's actually call this, send without the underscore. I think that's a little bit nicer. I think that feels a little bit better, because we're going to be using this in classes that extend this class. I don't know what the convention is. We're just going to go with send. And we're just going to send identity. Beautiful, beautiful. So what do we put in this identity? Where is it? Identity. Just this. So our op is going to be 2. Our data is going to be a nested object. This object's going to have a few things. Token, self.token. Whatever token we set up when we made the object. Intents. This is going to be some magical number, which is going to tell Discord what events to send us. Then we need some properties. We need to tell Discord what operating system. We're on Linux. This is going to only run on Linux. And then browser. Cool. This is going to be lib name. So this is going to be whatever we basically call this. Let's say lib name equals, let's call it tmtc pi. Let's just call it something for now, right? Something for now. So token, intents, properties, and that's it. That's all we need to do. Properties. Then we close this off. Perfect. Else if, well, let's say else raise exception. Let's give it a better message. We're not gonna make our own exception class just yet. For now, let's just throw something back. Let's say unknown op in message. Cool. And now we'll come in. We'll do the same thing. So if name is main, we'll just make this file runnable so we can test some stuff out quickly. Token equals token file read, and then let's do this. Token file read. We'll make our gateway, and then we run it. We just run it. It's got its handler set up. Everything looks good. I guess the other thing we could do is make a gateway connection and pass in a handler function. That might be nicer, but we need to use the state. Well, we use the state of, I don't know if we need to use the state of the object. We need to communicate back the pulse. I guess I could pass in an object as well. Okay, I need to think about this, if this needs to be a class or if I can use a function for this instead. That's an interesting one to think about. Let's see what happens when we run this. Gateway, not pateway. No such file tokens. So let's go back. Actually, hold on. I need to grab this from the API. I need to grab this. I just need to do this off camera so that people don't steal my token and destroy my server. Just kidding. The the token doesn't have that much permission. But where am I going? Just gonna. All right. Just gonna quickly grab this. Sorry about this. Let's copy. Where am I? Okay, let's try this out. Coroutine sleep was never awaited, and nothing happened. Why did nothing happen? Okay, I really need to fix up how this dies. Actually, you know, there was an example. Let's finish this train of thought first. Okay, let me finish a train of thought first. Python gate. We get a message here. Oh, because I'm not printing anything out, obviously. Well, let's print message. Let's do this. We can see that we still get the message. But does anything happen? Doesn't look like anything else happens, right? And then when we send, we want to like print out what we send just to make sure. Send loop, which we do. Yeah, so stuff's definitely maybe we're spamming up the queue too much with these messages. What if we set this really what if we just don't ping for a minute? What if we just like ignore this ping for a minute? We do this, we send identity, but oh, hold on. Coroutine, read the errors. Read the errors. Async sleep. Oh my god. What is this like triangle of doom? Gateway pi sleep. Await. I think this is gonna fix it, right? Or not. We do not appear to actually... Wait, hold on. I'm going crazy. We need to await the send. Is it this simple? Now nothing happens. Oh no, there it goes. It just took a second. Just had to think about it. Sending identify. So then what? Why doesn't this send? Right? We call send. Send never does this. This never happens. Because I forgot to put it in an infinite loop. It only no, wait, no. It's the send loop. The send loop though, right? The send loop is in an infinite loop. Yeah. I'm losing my mind. Send. I call this function. I 100% call this function. Horrible debug printing here. Don't do this. But this for some reason never completes. It's never... Okay, so we're doing something very, very wrong in how we're setting up our tasks, right? Something very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. Something very, very wrong. I'm going to take a quick breather and think about this, do a little stretch. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. I cracked it. Oh boy, I cracked it. Okay, hold on. I need to. I had a preview on my BRB just to make sure I wasn't like. I sat down and I was like, hold on, there's something wrong here. Okay, so if I go to gateway.py and I go to handle message, there's a really important step I'm missing here, and that is to actually like catch exceptions. So let's say exception as E, and let's just print the exception for now, right? So let's rerun it. What could possibly happen differently now that I rerun it? Oh look, there's a mess. Something actually went wrong that was just quietly being ignored before, and now we actually like get this as a message. Isn't that cool? Heartbeat interval. Okay, so that's actually not the error I expected, right? Because I realized something else. So let's do this first. Heartbeat. X. What are my intents? What do I intend to do with this channel, right? Well, here's a list of intents. So, you know, if you ask for the guild intent, you get all these permissions. You ask for the guild members intent, you get all these permissions. And these are represented by this single number. This confused me at first because I was like, how can there be this many different things encoded in this one bit? But it's like, no, you get all of them if this bit is set. So guild message reactions, message reaction add, remove, blah, blah, blah. This is the one. 2 to the power of 10, which is actually 1024. I can just hard code that in. For consistency's sake, let's use their format. 1 left shift 10. And now let's see what happens when I run this. Well, first off, I just leaked my token, so I need to reset that real quick. Thankfully, I've got the developer portal up, and I can just regenerate the token. Oops. Well, that's good. So, token regenerated. I need to just copy the new one in. But it looks like it's complaining about my token, right? What doesn't it like? Traceback. Gateway protocol. Oh no, data's a dict-like object. Never mind. I need to, Weird. I assumed it was going to say that I wasn't authed, but it's actually complaining that I'm trying to send a dictionary. So I guess I just need to go gateway. I want to support sending. I want to pass in to here as JSON. Do I want to pass into here as JSON? Yeah. I want this to stay as JSON as long as I can. And then I want to say like, well, first off, print message is going to be troublesome. We'll keep it there. So I want to say message of the string is json.dumps message, and then we want to send string message, but we still want to print this out. We want to print it out without leaking our token. So maybe let's say if token in message dot d. So let's say if our message has a token in it, then we say message d token equals ***. I kind of knew that was going to leak my token at some point. I kind of let that happen, you know, just for full transparency. But yeah, let's do that. But so there's actually something else wrong here, right? I didn't replace my. Let's see what happens when I run this now. Okay, message pushing message to send, done identify, but my message didn't get logged. And again, I probably actually need to say token message d message d token. I definitely need to have another try and catch around here, right? Pushing message to send. But the send never seems to get called. Again, I'm having this issue. I'm having the same problem. Message yourself to get string message. Oh, I'm not printing it out. Print message. That explains a lot. Cool. So now we see what we're sending and my token is nicely censored. So let me update my token now that I've done this. We've regenerated our token. I'm going to come in. Oh, I feel so clever now. I feel so clever. So what happens... yeah, so now it looks like we're getting like an auth issue, whatever. Let's see what happens now. We send this off and we wait because we're expecting something back. We're hoping for something back. or not. What happens when I exit this? Authentication failed. So there was something odd, it's something that jumped out to my eye before, which I completely forgot about until now, which was that add token seemed to have a new line at the end of it, which I don't think is correct. So what happens if I go, I just trim the last character off, assuming that it's a new line, blindly. And now it looks like we actually get stuff back. That's cool. So this is a bit hard to follow. We send our identify. We get back some stuff about ourselves, I guess. This is like my bot ID and stuff. I hope none of this is dangerous to print. Maybe I should be careful. I don't know. Gateway mess. And then we get a message saying guild member update. I don't think we're asking for guild member update, which is weird. Let me come into Discord, okay? Let me just like bring this across for a second. For one thing, we can see our bot's online. That's cool. What if I react to a message? I had a little fiddle again further last night. Message reaction ad. There we go. We get a message. I love it. An unknown op. We don't know how to handle it, but we get a message. So there we go. Let me like clear these off. Message reaction remove. We've done it. We have communicated with the Discord WebSocket API. A few other tips coming in here. There's a nice way to print exceptions without having to stop the program, catch it normally. Use traceback, print exec. Yeah, nice. That does sound good, actually. Traceback needs to be imported. Cool. That sounds really useful. Hi, Zymus, by the way. I don't think I said hello before. That is a really good start. So I think that's going to have to be it for now. I've got a busy day ahead of me. But this was really cool. We did it. We have integrated with the Discord WebSocket API. Now we can take this a step further and actually build something, right? So, you know, we've done this much, right? We've done up until here in the sequence. Now we just need to add a rollback, probably using the REST API, and then, you know, set up the actual machinery in my Discord. This is really exciting. So we did all this. We got it done. It works. There was a lot to understand. There were some rough bumps. There were some hiccups. I'm going to come back next stream, and the top thing on my priority will be to have a better error handling system, as Userman is pointing out, and also to have a solution for this. I stopped the ping loop running, by the way. I thought that might have been causing problems, but I don't think it is. I'm going to solve this. First thing next stream. Priority number 1. And then we're going to actually, you know, build something. So, for example, just quickly, while I, you know, my family calls this Brexiting, where you start to say goodbye, but then you find a million other things to talk about. Come into this and turn this, then find a way to like send events based on the messages that come in. So probably, I don't know, we got an op0 message, right? These will look like they're op0, and then the name tells us what to do. So we could create an event from the name of this message and then pass through like the data or something. It's going to be cool. It's going to be beautiful. But for everyone watching on YouTube, thank you very much. I hope this has been useful. This is probably more practically useful than my PlayStation 2 stuff and most of what I usually do. So please let me know if you enjoyed it, if you learned stuff from it, if there's other stuff you want to see me tackle. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll catch you next time.